Welcome to your Financial Freedom Blueprint. In this video, we will turn a solid income into real progress by fixing cash handling, smashing high credit utilization, and kickstarting savings the right way. As we move forward, you will learn how to structure weekly deposits, earmark taxes if you are paid in cash, prioritize a high-yield savings account for your emergency fund, and execute an aggressive credit utilization reduction plan. Finally, we will design a concrete 90-day action plan to break borrowing habits and build momentum. Here is the roadmap for today. First, we will cover cash handling rules that protect your income and taxes. Next, we will set up a high-yield savings account to host your emergency fund. Then, we will address credit card utilization, the fastest lever for your credit score. After that, we will eliminate short-term borrowing traps and install a zero-based budget. Finally, we will wrap with a practical 90-day plan and quick quizzes to test your understanding. Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Your situation may differ, so consult a licensed professional such as a CPA or fiduciary financial planner for personalized recommendations. With that clarified, let's proceed to the first actionable step. Let's begin with cash handling, because this is where a lot of leaks happen. If you are holding large amounts of cash, that is risky, and it obscures where your money actually goes. Instead, deposit your income weekly or bi-weekly so you can track spending and automate allocations. If you are self-employed or paid in cash, ignoring taxes is financial sabotage. Therefore, immediately set aside 25 to 30% of your income for estimated quarterly taxes. This simple change protects you from penalties and year-end stress, while ensuring you are living on what is truly yours after taxes. Follow these cash handling rules to create order and accountability. First, choose a weekly or bi-weekly deposit schedule to reduce risk and keep your records clean. Second, move 25 to 30% of gross income to a dedicated tax bucket on each deposit. Consider a separate high-yield savings account, labeled Tax HYSA, to avoid accidental spending. Third, maintain one checking account for bills and two savings accounts, one for taxes and one for emergencies. Fourth, automate transfers on payday so your plan happens without requiring willpower. Fifth, use a single debit or credit card for variable expenses like groceries and gas to keep tracking simple. Finally, set a weekly reconciliation meeting with yourself to compare your budget app with bank statements and correct any drift. With this foundation, we are ready to build your safety net. To protect your progress, open a high-yield savings account immediately. Start by comparing reputable banks or credit unions with competitive rates and strong customer service. Next, open a dedicated emergency HYSA that is separate from your tax savings. Then, automate weekly transfers. Begin with a manageable amount and increase contributions as debt payments decrease. Your target is 3 to 6 months of essential expenses in this account for liquidity and safety. If your current savings account pays near 0%, move funds promptly to the HYSA. This change can add meaningful interest over time while keeping money accessible for emergencies. This pie chart illustrates a starter allocation of take-home inflows after you set aside taxes. Approximately 50% goes to essentials such as rent, utilities, groceries, and transportation. 18% is directed to aggressive debt paydown, focused on high-interest credit card balances. 5% seeds your emergency fund until you reach 3 to 6 months of expenses, at which point you can reallocate more to long-term goals. Finally, 27% reflects taxes earmarked upfront for those paid in cash or self-employed. As your debt falls, the debt slice shrinks and the savings slice grows, which we will revisit in the 90-day plan. Your emergency fund protects you from setbacks derailing your progress. Aim for 3 to 6 months of essential expenses, starting with a quick $1,000 to $2,000 to handle common surprises. Keep the funds in your high-yield savings account so they remain liquid and insured. Next, automate weekly contributions so you steadily close the gap without thinking about it. After the emergency fund is complete and high-interest debt is under control, reassign those dollars to long-term growth vehicles like a Roth IRA. Let's compare account types to reinforce the choice. High-yield savings accounts typically offer much better interest rates while retaining full liquidity, making them ideal for emergency funds. In contrast, traditional savings accounts often pay near zero interest, which fails to keep pace with inflation and erodes purchasing power. Moreover, some traditional accounts carry unnecessary fees. Therefore, placing your emergency fund in a high-yield savings account is a straightforward upgrade. Now let's address the credit score. Your current score is being held down by extremely high credit card utilization, measured at 92%. Utilization is the balance relative to your credit limit, and it is one of the most influential factors in your score. Reducing utilization below 10% can deliver a rapid improvement, potentially moving you into the mid-600s to 700 range. Consequently, this is the highest return action you can take right now. Here is the playbook for reducing utilization. First, freeze discretionary spending to stop balances from growing. Second, make minimum payments on every card to protect your payment history. Third, choose the highest APR card as your target and direct every surplus dollar to it. Your immediate goal is to push each card below 10% of its limit and then maintain that level. Fourth, consider making mid-cycle payments so that your statement closes with a low reported balance. Fifth, set alerts at 5, 8, and 10% to prevent utilization from creeping back up. Finally, if your issuer later raises your credit limit, resist the urge to spend more. Treat the increased limit as a tool to keep utilization low, not as permission to buy. This timeline outlines a 3-month recovery path. In month 0, utilization sits at 92%, and the score is around 548. In month 1, aggressive surplus payments reduce utilization to roughly 50%. In month 2, continuing the plan and adding mid-cycle payments pulls utilization near 30%. By month 3, the aggressive focus moves you close to 10% utilization, which often corresponds with scores in the 640 to 700 range, assuming on-time payments are maintained. This shows how quickly consistent action can yield results. Here is an example sprint structure. Card A has a $2,000 limit and an $1,840 balance at 28% APR. While making minimums on all cards, channel $400 per month to Card A until utilization drops under 10%. During this time, pay $100 on Card B and $50 on Card C, or at least their minimums if higher. Once Card A falls below 10%, redirect the $400 to Card B and then to Card C. This method concentrates firepower on the highest APR debt and moves the utilization needle the fastest. Quiz time. What utilization target most quickly boosts your credit score from 548 toward the 640 to 700 range? Is it below 50%, below 30%, below 10%, or that it does not matter? You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is below 10%. In your situation, lowering utilization under 10% is the strongest lever for rapid credit score improvement, because utilization is a highly weighted factor in most scoring models. Short-term borrowing apps are designed to keep you dependent with high fees and instant dopamine. Delete them immediately. Next, remove saved cards from online retailers and subscription platforms to add friction at checkout. Install barriers, such as a 24-hour waiting rule on non-essential purchases, and use a dedicated list to cool off impulses. Replace automatic spending with intentional alternatives like cash envelopes for categories that frequently run over. Finally, journal emotional triggers and incorporate weekly no-spend challenges to build discipline. Breaking this loop frees the cash you need for debt reduction. This mind map organizes the core behaviors. Under cash discipline, we have weekly deposits and immediate tax set-asides. Under debt strategy, we target utilization under 10%, use an avalanche approach, and make mid-cycle payments. Under savings, we maintain an emergency fund in a high-yield savings account and automate contributions. Under spending barriers, we enforce a 24-hour delay, remove borrowing apps, and clear saved cards. Under tracking, we reconcile weekly and use a zero-based budget. Together, these habits reinforce each other and sustain progress. To install a zero-based budget, begin by listing your monthly income range. If you are paid in cash or self-employed, allocate 25 to 30% to taxes before any other spending. Next, assign every remaining dollar to needs, debt paydown, and emergency savings so that nothing is left unassigned. Then, set category caps and enable alerts to prevent overspending. Finally, schedule a 15-minute weekly check-in to adjust allocations based on actual spending and to keep alignment with your goals. Second quiz. Where should your emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses live for safety and accessibility? Is it a checking account, a high-yield savings account, under the mattress, or inside a Roth IRA? You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is a high-yield savings account. It provides liquidity, typically offers a higher interest rate than traditional savings, and keeps your emergency money separate and ready for use. Once your emergency fund is in place and your high-interest debt is under control, begin funding a Roth IRA. Contributions are made with after-tax dollars, but the growth and qualified withdrawals in retirement are tax-free, which is powerful for early career savers. Automate monthly contributions to build consistency. Inside the Roth IRA, consider broad, low-cost index funds for diversified, long-term growth. Prioritize in this order: emergency fund, high-interest debt, and then Roth contributions, maintaining low utilization throughout. Here is a practical 90-day plan. In weeks 1 and 2, open your high-yield savings accounts, set up automations for taxes and emergency savings, and delete short-term borrowing apps. In weeks 3 and 4, begin avalanche payments toward the highest APR card and practice mid-cycle payments to lower reported balances. In weeks 5 through 8, drive your first target card under 30% utilization and then under 10%. In weeks 9 through 12, maintain utilization under 10% across all cards, increase emergency fund contributions, and prepare to onboard a Roth IRA. Each week, conduct a budget check-in, review spending triggers, and enforce barriers. Monthly, reassess allocations as debt decreases and redirect freed-up cash to the emergency fund and then the Roth IRA. Remember these points: deposit cash frequently and set aside taxes automatically. Maintain your emergency fund in a high-yield savings account. Drive utilization below 10% for the fastest credit score gains. Eliminate borrowing apps and add friction to spending through a zero-based budget. Finally, when the emergency fund and high-interest debt are under control, begin automated Roth IRA contributions for long-term growth. To conclude, fix your cash handling and tax set-asides first. Build your emergency fund in a high-yield savings account and attack high-interest credit card balances. Then, drive utilization below 10% to unlock quick credit score improvements. Break short-term borrowing loops, install a zero-based budget, and finally transition to Roth IRA contributions for long-term, tax-free growth. With steady weekly actions, this blueprint becomes your path to financial freedom. Thanks for watching. If this blueprint clarified your next steps, please like the video, share it with someone who needs a plan, and subscribe for more actionable money moves. In the comments, tell us your biggest win this week and which habit you are installing first. Your story could inspire someone else's breakthrough.